I had orders. Orders that I disobeyed. But you wouldn't understand that.
Orders? When you know they're wrong? You might as well be a stormtrooper.
What do you know? We don't all have the luxury of deciding when and where we want to care about something. Suddenly the rebellion is real for you. Some of us live it. I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. You're not the only one who lost everything. Some of us just decided to do something about it.
Yep. That shit hits a little diff, for sure. I'm assuming, like most of you, you had just finished Andor, you took a few hours to compose yourself, or even a full 24 like I did, before immediately popping in Rogue One. Popping in. Am I aging myself? Being fully transparent here, I actually was never the biggest fan of Rogue One. When my friends and I saw it at the time, we all agreed that the third act of Rogue One might have been the best of the Star Wars saga, but the build-up to that was a little boring, isn't the right word? Dry, maybe? Like, it was good, but I didn't feel like I knew any of the characters well enough to feel the full weight of their deaths by the end of the movie. But no big deal, the movie was fun. Cut to today. The Andor trilogy. Yes, that's what I've decided to call seasons 1, 2, and Rogue One. Will probably go down hand in hand with the original trilogy as some of the best Star Wars ever. And because of the way Andor finishes, quite literally minutes before Rogue One begins, I may have a new favorite Star Wars movie. I think what people maybe don't understand as to why Andor will go down in history is not only because of how great the show ended up being, but because of how unlikely it was. An Andor TV show. Really? Okay, I guess I'll watch. This was the sentiment by just about everyone who heard Lucasfilm announce the project 2 whole years after Rogue One's billion-dollar run. I don't think I could have been more wrong about my expectations for a TV show. Tony Gilroy, a self-proclaimed non-Star Wars fan, and we'll get to that in a second, don't you worry, pitched something dark, meaningful, rich, epic. But the pitch is only as good as its parts, and Diego Luna was the main cog that kept all of this working. After having finally rewatched Rogue One with a keen eye on everything Cassian said and did, it really became clear to me how Andor became to be at all. Diego Luna acts his ass off in Rogue One, and gave the character of Cassian Andor this heft to him that caused you to wonder what his backstory was at all. The scene I showed at the top of this video, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. He delivers that line with such intensity that you can feel the tragedy of his past involvements with the rebellion. That same intensity can be felt throughout Andor, and especially during the show's final episode.
I don't know if what he was told is true or not, but it's insulting to hear him run down by people who have given a fraction of his sacrifice to this rebellion.
Enough!
Thanks to Diego Luna and Tony Gilroy, the character of Cassian Andor is actually on my Mount Rushmore of Star Wars characters, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and of course, R2-D2. Andor has now quickly become one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and by the time I mustered up the courage to finally watch Rogue One a day later, I found myself quickly enthralled in a story I had already seen but felt like I had been watching for the first time. Rogue One truly feels like the Andor series finale, and of course, Cassian's death is 100 times more emotional than it was 9 years ago. 9 years ago? Jesus Christ, what happened? But oddly enough, it was K2SO's death that broke me. Not only because we learned a little bit more about K2's backstory, but because of Cassian's reaction. The guy who lost everything loses another friend he made. A friend he made minutes after the love of his life had left him. Oh yeah. Cassian died not knowing he had a child. This was like Shakespearean in its tragedy. And I say child, not son, because Tony Gilroy's on record saying he doesn't know the sex or name of the child. But in my head, it's a boy, and his name is Cassian. Andor lives. Maybe not the way we'd all like, but nonetheless, he lives. So here I am, just having written 750 words on Rogue One's new impact to me due to Andor's brilliance. I didn't even go into the deep details of the show. Maybe I can do another video on Luthen and Clay's relationship, the tragic life of Syril Karn, how Cassian up until the last episode never stopped thinking about his sister, how Bix's sacrifice to leave the rebellion essentially guaranteed its victory, and how Tony Gilroy, the self-proclaimed non-Star Wars fan, perfected Star Wars on levels we haven't seen since the year 1980.
I think it's a mistake to look at the Star Wars community as a monolith, as a unified group. What I've learned over the last 10 years is how many different divisions and subcults there are within it. There's all variety of Star Wars fans, and they don't agree with each other much of the time. I know there's a large segment of Star Wars, passionate Star Wars fans that are thrilled with what we're doing and they've been yearning for it. There are Star Wars fans who are outraged that we've made something that isn't for that kids can't watch and it doesn't have a lot of fun in it, and they yearn for the innocence and the safety of the old formula. I don't see why these all can't exist together. I don't think that one precludes the other. That is literally just my opinion. You're going to get a variety of opinions from community. What I'm really also trying to do, that's why we're leaning so hard into the press this time, is I'm really, really interested in letting people know that they don't have to know anything about Star Wars to watch our show. I'm trying to animate an audience that is Star Wars averse, that is like, I'm not watching that because it is Star Wars. I'll be most happy if we can bring an audience of people who have no exposure to Star Wars or have avoided it.